Welcome back, friends. My name is Rakesh Kumar Puntia, and today we're going to discuss on publication ethics. In today's video, we're going to talk about the different steps, processes which is involved in an academic research. Basically, in an academic research, we include the study design, the study execution, data collection, data analysis, and the final step, which is the publication. When we go through this process and steps, it is very important that we have to adhere to the ethics, that is the code of conduct, at every stage of the research. The Committee on Publication Ethics, that is COPE, is an international forum for editors and also the publishers of peer-reviewed journals, which provides the code of conduct and also the guidelines that define publication ethics and advises editors to handle cases on research and publication misconduct. We are going to also talk about the publication ethics, the ethics approval, the informed consent, data manipulation, research fraud, plagiarism, simultaneous submission, duplication of publication, consent to produce published materials, ethics on authorship, COIs, and duplicate publication. So when we talk about the different theories, different process and the guidelines, in India it is a Schedule Y, which is controlled by the DCGI, that is the Drug Controller General of India. It is a mandatory to get approval from DCGI, Registered Ethics Committee, before any of the clinical trial which has been sponsored is commenced. Also, in 2009, it is made a mandate that to register for the clinical trials in the Clinical Trial Registry of India. The guidelines for the formation of ethics committee and the code of conduct has been outlined in the Schedule Y. The ICMR also provides the guidelines for ethics committee for approval before any study has been conducted in India. The researchers should be aware of these guidelines and also they have to stick to these ethics policies. When a consent form is obtained from the participants, this is critical and should not be made a trivialized by the authors. The ICMR and DCGI they have a template in Appendix 5 of the Schedule Y, which should be adopted by all the researchers in India. The authors should be aware of the guidelines followed by the ICH GCP guideline and also the tenets of Declaration of Helsinki. While recording the audio visual in the form of industry sponsored RCTs, the consent forms must commit on protection of patients' identity and confidentiality data, that is, social, economic data, and status. In in addition to these, the forms must have the patient rights to clearly explainable, understandable by patients, and they should be documented as appropriately by the researchers, and they should have minimum of 5 years from the time of termination of studies. This data has to be maintained. A very thorough check has to be made on the plagiarism as well when we're writing a manuscript, especially if it should be checked if any previously published work by any author is in on manuscript without consent, credit, acknowledgement, or fraudulently passing it towards own work is called plagiarism. The most common form of scientific misconduct in manuscript writing is plagiarism, and this can be two types depending on the extent of it is reproduced. Clear plagiarism, which is defined by COPE as unattributed use of large portions of text and data presented if they were by the plagiarist. Minor copying of short phrases only, phrases in discussion of research papers without any misattribution of data. Clear plagiarism could be literal copying, that is word to word copying for large parts of previous manuscript, substantial copying, that is reproducing major parts of previous papers, text, tables, figures, paraphrasing, copying the idea from a previous paper without copy verbatim, and text recycling, also called as self plagiarism. When an author uses the same text in multiple papers without citation of the prior work. Authors should remember crediting previous authors of the work is vital in providing the context of their own research. Journals often use plagiarism checking software that assists the editors in identifying plagiarists. The COPE provides clear guidelines on the process to be followed to tackle plagiarism when it is detected in the review phase and when detected after publication. Besides, the UGC has also prepared a proposal to consider plagiarism a legal offense in India. So, an utmost care has to be taken while we are going with the research and also publication ethics, and we have to see there is no plagiarism in our paper. Coming to the simultaneous submission, submitting a manuscript to multiple journals at the same time is termed as simultaneous submission. At the time of manuscript submission, most journals are printing declaration from the authors that the manuscript is original and is not being considered for publication by any other scientific journals. Declaring as such, then disregarding this process leads to submission to another journal where the chances of success are perceived to be better by the authors. This could lead to publication of the same manuscript by two different journals. As this type of misconduct occurs at the discretion of the author alone, the onus is of the author to submit to one journal and wait for a decision before submitting to another journal. Submitting a presenting paper for a scientific conference does not preclude authors from submitting the same paper for publication to a peer-reviewed journal. Duplicate publication. When a manuscript is submitted with same hypothesis, same discussion points, data, conclusions as a previously published manuscript, it is called duplicate publication, which is similar to plagiarism, but instead of copying phrases verbatim, the same thing, images and study hypotheses are replicated in another paper. The CUPA classifies duplicate publications into major and minor offenses. A major offense is defined as a duplicate publication based on the same data set with identical findings and to evidence that authors have sought to hide redundancy, changing title, author order, or not referring to previous papers. A minor offense, this is referred as salami slicing, is defined as a duplicate publication with some elements of redundancy or legitimate repetition of reanalysis. Publication in regional journals or non-English journals are most commonly used for duplication publication by authors. The COPE provides clear guidelines on handling duplicate publication in addition to rejecting the revoking the published papers. Self-citation, citing one's work in subsequent papers which are out of concept of research is called as self-citation. Now, coming to the ethics in authorship, we are also going to see that uh, every journal has authorship criteria based on ICMJE guideline for qualifying to become an author in a manuscript. The ICMJE states all persons who are authors should qualify authorship. All authors who qualify should be listed. It also describes three criteria that must be collectively met to be credited as authorship. Approval of final version, drafting or revising the article for intellectual content, substantial contribution of conduct of study including concepts, design, data acquisition, statistical analysis and interpretation. And conflict of interest is also called as competing interests are defined as financial, personal, social or other interests that directly or indirectly influence the conduct for the author with respect to the particular manuscript. If anything is detected, then the COP clearly provides guidelines to take steps when one of the above mentioned misconducts is identified. The first step is taken by the editorial board in contacting authors, informing that their misconduct have been identified. If the authors acknowledge and accept their fault, the paper is rejected and the leadership in the author's institution is informed. If the paper is already published, authors are provided with the opportunity of self-confession in the form of an erratum in the journal. If the misconduct is major, the editor has right to revoke the paper after due diligence is performed and the misconduct is confirmed. The author can be blacklisted by the journal and information is shared with the COP so that all members' journals are informed. If authors deny their misconduct, and editors can take cognizance and appropriate action as per the COP guidelines. In addition, authors can be questioned by the ethics committee of local bodies such as Ethics Committee of the All India Ophthalmological Society, and suitable punishment can be handled as per the standard operating procedures. With this, we are going to end today's session on the research and publication ethics. And moving forward, we'll discuss in detail on other aspects of research and publication ethics. Till then, have a nice day. Goodbye. Please do not forget to subscribe my channel. Stay tuned for more updates. Till then, bye bye.